Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Professor David J. De Los Reyes. What I will be discussing this morning will be, it's April 8, 2024. Okay. What I will be discussing are actually, this is related to mathematics and in relation with the students and professors or mentors. Okay. The title of the topic will be the reasons why students fail in mathematics. I could say many things on this topic because I have been a professor for not so long time, but I could tell you on what will be the problem on the so-called academe. There's a problem with the students. I'm not telling there is a problem with the mentors or professors, but there are some problems with them also. I don't know if I am one of the problems, but I could see the problems regarding the mentors and so with the students. Okay, let's proceed. The title of the subject matter for this morning will be a random topic. This is related still to mathematics, and this is with regard to the relation of students and mentors, how they learn something from them, how they absorb the concept from the mentors. Okay, the title of the topic will be the reasons why students fail in mathematics. I am talking from my experience. When I took up my engineering course in the Philippines, just to tell you, I finished my engineering course in the Philippines. I have been a professor in the Philippines. When I took up my engineering course, okay, this is a little bit storytelling, no computation yet. I was not prepared to take up engineering because when I was in high school, our teacher in the high school was, I'm not telling he's not good, but sometimes when he is teaching, instead of teaching us, he's always scolding. That's why we didn't learn something from him. So instead of we should be learning something from him, okay, I think we don't learn anything from him. Maybe we learn something, but it's not so much. So when I go to college, I was not prepared for the college algebra. So actually, to tell you the truth, I failed once in my college days in algebra. I failed because I lacked the number one topic is I lack the fundamentals. Okay, meaning fundamentals. Just like an example in the so-called fundamental operations in algebra. If you are not familiar with that, when you go to college, okay, when you go to college, the phase of the so-called teaching over there is actually a little bit fast. So if you lack something on the fundamentals, of course you could not cope up. And that may be the reason why I failed. Again, to continue my story, I took up my, what do you call this, summer class. And I was under a very terror professor in one of the colleges in the Philippines. Just to tell you, it's National University. That's equivalent to MIT in the Philippines. There is also an MIT in the Philippines, same as the MIT. No, not same here. Because MIT here is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The MIT in the Philippines is the so-called Mapua Institute of Technology. And again, to continue my story, when I took up my summer class, I was under a so-called a very terror in the college algebra professor. So when we were taking the exam one time, you could actually hear the voice of, if the exam is hard, you could really hear the voice of the, the students taking the exam. That's how hard to pass that terror, professor. But due to my so-called self-study style, I teach myself. I didn't ask for any help from anybody. I just study it because I know I lack something on the fundamentals. So I polish my fundamentals, okay, the fundamental operations. So I was able to solve the so-called one of the hardest problems maybe on the verbal problem on algebra, okay? Because if you could not cope up with the verbal problems in algebra, you could not translate those to some equations, you could not solve the problem. But I was able to do it, and I was able to pass the what they call this college algebra, in which I failed in the regular semester. I was able to pass. Then after that, till I graduate, actually I was able to improve my what they call this status in my study of electrical engineering. So from that time on, college algebra, then it go to calculus, differential integral, differential equations up to advanced math. I was already in the so-called top 2% of our class already. That's how I survived the so-called lack of fundamentals. So for those students, okay, who lack fundamentals, just polish your fundamentals and you will be good at your mathematics or engineering subject matter. Okay. Number two. So number one is actually the lack of fundamentals. You must have to polish your fundamentals for you to pass mathematics. Okay. Number two, if you lack interest in the subject matter, of course you fail. You should be interested in the subject matter mathematics. Like if you plan on taking up engineering, okay, and you want to become an engineer, if you are not interested in mathematics, better quit engineering. So to be successful in the so-called engineering course, you should have interest in mathematics. Okay, that's number two. Number three, this is a problem with the professors and mentors already. During my college days, there are the good professors, there are the not so good professors because they don't know how to emphasize the concepts on what they are teaching, or sometimes the professors are actually too intelligent. Because if a professor is too intelligent, just by seeing one word, he or she just assumed that the students already understood the problem or the subject matter. But if a professor or a mentor is actually an average mentor or professor, of course the level of intelligence will be a little bit lower, right? So if an average professor is teaching, he will try to lower down his level or her level for the students to understand it. But if a professor is actually a summa cum laude or a magna cum laude, there is a problem already there. He just see one word and he assume or he or just assume that the students actually understood it already. So that's the problem there. Okay? I am not telling that summa cum laude or magna cum laude don't know how to teach. They know how to teach, but sometimes their patience is different from the average professor. Okay? So the problem is actually, it's not the problem. They just that their intelligence is too high, their standards is too high. The students could not cope up with them, so the students fail. That's one reason. So this is number three. Teacher or professor is too much intelligent that seeing it one time, is good enough for the students. For the students. Saying it one time is not good enough because teaching mathematics, it should be a repetitive process. It should be what you call this, a give and take one. Okay? If I explain it, I will ask you if you understood it. Okay? If you say no, I will repeat it. Okay? But if the professor is summa cum laude, I don't think he should be asking or she will be asking if you understood it or not. He just assumed that you understand it already. That's why he doesn't repeat the subject matter. But for us average professors, okay, we ask if the students could understand what we are telling. If they say they could not understand, we will repeat it. Right? So the problem with the summa cum laude, magna cum laude, in comparison with the average professor, there's a big difference. Actually, students under the average professor is more successful than the students being taught by the summa cum laude or magna cum laude. That's a reality. Because students actually is afraid with the summa cum laude or magna cum laude professor because, of course, she must be a terror, right? Maybe the passing percentage maybe is 90% or 95%. So if you could not cope up with 90 or 95%, you fail. But for the average professor, if you got 80% or 85%, that's fine already. So that's the difference between the summa cum laude and the average professor. Number 4. Other mentors talk too much like a public speaker instead of a math teacher. For me, if you could speak English better than me, I salute you, right? I could understand you. But if you are teaching mathematics and you talk too much, okay, by just emphasizing a simple concept maybe, that's no good. Because actually, if you could make your wordings or explanation concise, it's better for the average student. But if you talk too much like a public speaker, if you are teaching mathematics, it's no good. I'm not criticizing those mentors who speak too much or too good English, but if you talk too much on mathematics by just emphasizing a simple concept, I think for me that's no good. Okay, so the talking should be minimal because we are just teaching mathematics. It's not a public speaking class. Okay, that is just only my point of view. That's number 4. Other mentors talk too much like a public speaker instead of a math teacher. That's why sometimes, to tell you the truth, students don't actually accept too much those professors who talk too much. If you, like in the Philippines, if you are teaching mathematics, you try to minimize your talking mathematically. It's not like a public speaking class. Okay? Because if you are only emphasizing what you call this simple concept, and your speaking is actually too much, it's no good. If you could minimize your speaking on the simple concept, it's better for the students to understand it. Okay, number 5. This is also with regards to the mentors. Other mentors teach too fast that an average student cannot catch up with the lecture. Okay? Of course, this is in relation with the summa cum laude or magna cum laude already. Because if a professor is a summa cum laude or magna cum laude or a PhD graduate maybe or MBA graduate, of course, his lingo will be different from the ordinary average professor. Okay? So if you talk, what you call this, too fast, okay, not unless the student is prepared enough to catch up with your lecture. But sometimes there are students which are just, I'm not telling they are lazy, they are not prepared for the lecture. So if you are not prepared for the lecture, for the mentor who teach too fast, you could not catch up. So I think there should be balance also. This mentor should also be what they call this uh, maintaining the proper speed so the student could catch up. Like what I did when I was teaching in the Philippines, I use the so-called spoon feed method. So if you are viewing my what you call this long video lecture, those style are actually done by the good professors in the Philippines, dean of different universities and colleges. Okay, we try to fill up the board. Okay, I will let you copy. After copying, the time for the subject matter is not yet consumed. So I will fill up the board, you copy the lecture, okay, then I will explain. After explanation, okay, I will entertain questions regarding the subject matter. If there are no questions, that's it. Okay, that's it. But if there are questions, I should be answering your questions regarding subject matter. So I will be asking, did you understand the subject matter? Something like that. Or you got a problem on how I arrive at the answer? That will be the questions I will be bringing out. So if there are no more questions, that's it. That's a spoon feed, but at least the student got the lecture, and if he could not possibly understood all the contents and he don't want to ask questions from the professor, he could or she could bring it home, the lecture, then studied it at home. I think that's a very good concept on how to learn for those students who are not what they call this fast enough to catch up with the lecture. So if you got a problem with the lecture and you didn't understand the lecture of the instructor, you can bring home your what they call this your copy lecture. You study it from there. Okay, and actually that was a good technique we are using in the Philippines. Not that we are telling that students from the Philippines are actually not so good, but it was a good thing because those slow learners could catch up. And luckily, they passed their engineering courses. Number 6. Sometimes, spoon-feed style of teaching works for the slow learners. That's what I said, right? I will put the lecture on the board. I will let you copy. I will explain. Then I will ask or entertain questions. Okay, that's the so-called spoon-feed style. And we are using that in the Philippines. I don't know here because I didn't study here in the USA. Maybe those taking the PhD or the master's degree maybe. I don't know the style of their teaching over here. But just in case I will be studying here again in the USA, I will adjust. Okay, I will adjust. But with regards to the subject matter or the teaching in the Philippines, it's something like that. When I was there, I don't know now. Okay? So the spoon-feed style is write the lecture on the board, copy the lecture, then I will explain the contents of the subject matter. Okay? Then I will entertain questions. If there are no more questions, that's the end of the lecture. Okay? An example of this, just to give you a brief overview on the lack of fundamentals, one of the YouTube creators just discussed this one, but it's not the same as his. It is something like this. Why students fail mathematics because they are lacking fundamentals. It is something like this. Sometimes students try to simplify this one. Okay, the given equation function is x plus 2 over x plus 1. Okay, then they will try to cancel this one. Right? That's no good. It's wrong. Because if students do like this, I think there's a problem with the mentor or professor already. At least you emphasize here that they could not cancel this one because there is a plus sign over there and there is a plus sign over here. Okay? For us to cancel this one here, the correct way, the operation on the numerator should be multiplication. Okay? It should be multiplication, no plus here and no plus here, nothing. So if this is x and this is 2 and this is x and this is 1, you could cancel this one. That's the only time you could cancel. So actually there's a problem on how the concept was maybe lectured on the students. That's the reason why the students didn't know how to simplify x plus 2 over x plus 1. They try to cancel this one, even though there's a plus here and there's a plus here. The other error is something like on trigonometry. If we are given sine of the quantity x plus y over sine of x, okay, they try to cancel sine in sine. Okay, that's wrong also. That's wrong. Because to cancel sine and sine got no meaning. Okay, it got no meaning. The simplification is much more complicated than just simply canceling this one. Okay, I think so. The problem here is actually on the emphasis on the so-called cancellation method. There should be a problem on the emphasis on the cancellation. That's why students didn't get it. That is lacking fundamentals. So actually, for the success of students, mentors or professors should try to lower down also their what they call this personality, okay, or intellect to go down with the students. Just don't think that if you are a summa cum laude, all your students will also be summa cum laude. Okay, I think that is more than good enough for the reasons why students fail in mathematics. And what I said tonight is actually based on my experience. So there is a problem with the students, there is a problem with the mentors, and my point of view. Okay? Because students and mentors should, what you call this, coordinate with each other for them to, what you call this, learn something from the mentors. And the mentor should also try to lower down their intellect. Just don't think that if you are a summa cum laude, all your students will be summa cum laude. Okay, this is Professor David J. De Los Reyes. Good morning from Los Angeles.